This week on The Modified World, I'm going to be talking to you about the unintended consequences of good intentions. So, stick around. Welcome to The Modified World. It's the weekly web show about body modification. The people who do it, people who get it, and why it matters. I'm your host, the senior piercer, the world-renowned Pangea Piercing. Beautiful sunny downtown Ann Arbor, Michigan. I purvey internet wackiness, and I'm JC Potts, all simultaneously. Yes, it's real. So, this week I had a nice young lady and her mom and her other sister drive all the way from Wisconsin just to get pierced. Now, I have people come all the time. I mean, in the last 2 weeks, I've had somebody from the West Bank in Israel. I had somebody from Salt Lake City, Utah, and from Calgary, who made special trips just to get pierced by me, and that's really cool. And of course, my friend Olivia, who let me do her Rook and her Nostril and her Helix all at the same time. Well, yeah, she's a fan, but she's a fan because she did her research. And during the course of doing her research, she found out that in Wisconsin, they don't allow anybody under 16 to go and get a proper professional piercing. And so here's the problem with that is, and I've been saying this to folks for a long time, the restrictions that they put on that never once actually stopped a kid from getting a piercing. All it did was inconvenience them. Sometimes it actually almost guarantees that you get your piercing done in a bad environment by somebody who literally doesn't care how old you are, or by yourself, or one of your friends in the bathroom at your high school. And none of those are good situations. Now, I understand why it is that people pass these laws, or why legislatures pass these laws. They want to look like they're saying, look, we're keeping your kids safe. But in reality, there's really no vector or method for being able to enforce any of that. The only people that bother adhering to that laws are the ethical operators who already would be, taking a case-by-case basis with dealing with people under the age of 18 anyway. So, my point being is that A, it's really not helping. B, it's a way for legislators to grandstand and say that, hey, look, we're keeping your kids safe. Look, we passed this law. Never mind whatever other crap that they're doing that could be harmful to your children and stuff. No, they say, oh no, look, we've kept them safe on this. Because of course, body artists, we really don't have that much political capital or anything like that. Of course, I asked the girl, can you go and get a piercing done at the mall? And she's like, sure. Once again, unintended consequences of those actions. And it bothers me because you see a lot of people inside the community, inside the professional community, other piercers who lobby for some of these wacky laws. And generally their motivation isn't actually keeping anybody safe. They know that there's no vector for enforcement on this. Mostly it's one of two things. Either they're trying to feather their cap and make them look like, hey, look, I'm part of the community. Look, I'm important. I got some laws passed. Oh, I was the one who wrote this legislation. Oh, here, everybody give me a certificate and stuff. Either that or A, or B, they're trying to wield a club from the state to be able to strike their enemies with, their competitors, rather than just crushing them in open competition like I do. They want to try to use state power to compel people to not open or to not do business or something like that. And it's no good, man. It's really no good. And there's lots of examples in life of the unintended consequences of good intentions. You might say hey, we want to give clothes to the poor people in Africa. We've got all these extra clothes around. Why don't we ship them over there and stuff to help the people? And it's a good intention. But what winds up actually happening is African clothing industries can't compete with free clothes. So basically, the West, in trying to be kind, actually destroyed the African clothing industries. And that's unintended consequence of people's good intentions. So I always try to get people to think about things all the way through before you go and advocate for stuff, especially when it comes to laws. You might wind up actually, advocating for something that, given better access to information, you might not necessarily be in favor of. And that was my show this week. I hope you learned something, maybe at least remotely entertained. Do this all the time, at least once a week generally. So if you haven't subscribed yet, you want to. And if you agree with some of the stuff that I've been talking about over my last few videos, consider sharing one. The mind you save might be yours or somebody you care about. And be sure to stop back by next week for another episode of The Modified World.
What?